Shine, your light has come. Today is your day to soar. Prepare your heart and raise your voice. What are you waiting for? The old has gone, the new has come. Yes, we are born anew. The love and wealth he had restored cleanses the soul the more.
If you're not in an environment where money is being talked about,
Yeah.
money is going to be taboo. Secondly, if you're also in a church
Yeah.
where money is not talked about, because many people think, hey, but you also need to be in a space where let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
But beyond just giving, let's talk about how do we generate money?
How to make it.
How do we make money? How do we grow money?
I always talk about how you need to develop a relationship with money.
Yeah, that's true.
The day that you get money that you have not possessed in your lifetime, put it there and just be able to spend at least 48 hours
Looking at it.
looking at it.
Don't remove a single dollar.
Even if you are planning right now, you don't have money, we ask you what you want to do with it. You are sober.
Yeah.
The time that money is going to come to you, the confusion and all the glossy and the good things come through.
No one was changed by money.
Yeah.
They often say, no, the moment they started making money, he changed.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No.
Money does not change you.
Yes.
It exposes who you are.
Yeah. Because there are things that you would have wanted to do or to become.
But you couldn't do them because you had no money.
The time, the money.
That's why I always correct people. Hakuna munhu anda wakadzi because I had money. That's not true. So the moment money comes, it unveils
who you are. Hello, my favorite people. My name is Onward Gibson, and I want to welcome you to yet another episode of the Love, Life, and God podcast, where we talk about all things life, all things God, and everything that is in between. And I'm very excited that you're joining this episode. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel. What we have discovered is that almost 40% of people that watch this channel are subscribed, and the 60% gap, they are not subscribed. When you subscribe this channel, what you do is that you give us an opportunity to grow the channel and to make sure that the content, goes beyond where it's going right now, but also so that we also improve in terms of the quality of the guests that we bring to the show. So I encourage you to share. I encourage you to also subscribe to our channel. And I'm so excited today. I have someone who is in the studio who's a big brother, but also who is a professional, who is renowned for the great work that he does with individuals, mentorship. He's also an author. He also mentors a lot of institutions in terms of ethics, professionalism, finances, leadership, and a lot of things. But also is a renowned lawyer. And I have in studio today Advocate Arthur Marara.
My brother, how are you doing?
Welcome.
Finally, thanks so much, for the invite. I've been following what you're doing. Keep up the good work you're doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Would you mind? I know you are a devoted Christian.
Yeah.
Would you mind praying for us as we begin the
Let's
podcast?
pray. Father, we thank you for your grace, the opportunity to sit down and talk and reflect. Father, we acknowledge the power of communication, the power of talking, the power of words. We ask you that whatever we're going to talk, may it build someone's life. May it answer someone's prayer. May it meet someone at the point of their needs. We know people are watching us from various places. Many of the things that they're going through right now, they may not even be able to tell people. Lord, we speak for clarity. We speak that you continuously help those that call upon you. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity, and we remain vessels at your disposal. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. So to begin off this conversation, you are a renowned author. and you have written, books on leadership mainly. Why does it matter?
Writing for me, it matters because that's a way of communicating. Many people may not actually be able to meet me,
Yeah.
but I think they'll be able to meet the books that I've done. But secondly, I think we need to have a culture of documenting ideas.
Yeah.
When you read history, they talk about oral tradition as the source of history. Then they talk about written records.
Yeah.
The one who writes controls the narrative. That's why I think it's also very important for us as Africans, as young people, to actually take the space and to actually contribute our ideas in terms of shaping the narrative, sharing the ideas that I have. But it's always been in really a passion to just be able to write. I always fantasized about it. But later on, as you grow, you begin to realize, okay, this is not just a passion; it's actually a calling as well.
Yeah.
Where we're able to impact people and just get to inspire people. I really like that.
Yeah. I'm an author myself, and I had a privilege to launch my book in the United States, in 6 states. But this part of this program was also sponsored by the U.S. Department of State. And when I look back and I see the reception of my book here in Zimbabwe, and then the reception of my book in the United States of America.
Yeah.
I think people then realized and wanted to buy my book after, I had my breakthrough in the US. And I've always been thinking, when you write, are you thinking about the reception and who's going to read? Because I also see that our culture of reading, back home is very low.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things. Number one, the Bible says a prophet has no honor in his own hometown. And I think it takes grace for people to also realize that the gift that someone has, even if they know them, it's actually an uncommon gift. And you'll never benefit from a gift that you don't recognize.
That's true.
But it only takes people sometimes who are far away from you to recognize the gift that is within you. That's why you're celebrated in America. And in Zim, people rather go and watch funny things
and
follow
tell you, can I support you
exactly.
when they are buying your book?
So, one of the things that I learned a lot from books, my books were mainly academic when I started. So I actually got 9 books approved by the ministry.
Wow.
So this was me developing a high school fantasy that I want to write a study guide.
Yeah.
Then it taught me a lot of things. Number one, how do you actually market books? How do you actually get into the market?
Yeah.
Which is why I've learned to realize that majority of the learning actually starts when you finish school. Because majority of the times we think it ends with a degree, it ends with a diploma, but that's not true.
Yeah.
So in terms of reception now, I think things have changed. Because the years of consistency have actually paid off.
Yeah.
Where people get to be comfortable around your brand, get to know you, and get to actually look forward to your next book.
Yeah.
But I think it's also not giving up, and most importantly, investing in continuous improvement. Once you do something, look for opportunities to actually grow.
Yeah.
So that the next assignment, the next project, people also find it. So it's a never-ending journey of continuous improvement. And brand development. That's actually something that I'll encourage to everyone who's thinking about getting to this space as well.
All right. So I think we have had this conversation before we started recording, and I felt like we're already talking about what we actually want to talk about, and I think which is around this generation and how we are finding inspiration in terms of building wealth, finance. And we see that because of the informal sector that, is mushroomed in our country. We have a lot of young people that are becoming, entrepreneurs that are trying, they also call it hustling, and a lot of activities that is, happening around. How do people in this generation learn about money?
All right, so learning is in 2 ways. Number one, there's a formal setup of learning.
Yeah.
But the biggest difficulty with the formal setup of learning is you rarely talk about money. I spent 4 years in law school. We never had a conversation around money.
Yeah.
The only type of time we talked about money was, number one, studying tax law.
And I think before we talk about that, you might want to tell me how you grew up.
All right.
How you grew up in a relation to money. And then you were talking about, university, and I think you were going somewhere in terms of your personal
Yeah, you know what?
journey as well.
Again, it's more to do with where you come from.
Yeah,
So many people get introduced to money at different levels.
yeah,
For many people, which is also the type of environment that I grew up, where you go to school, work hard, get a
Yeah.
good job.
yeah,
So my father died when I was 13 years of age, and he was the breadwinner, sole breadwinner.
yeah,
And when he died, that's when I realized that mom had to be creative. And I'm so grateful to my uncle who started teaching mom how to sell, which is now one of the things that I think we now need to make compulsory, sort of,
yeah,
where we need to add as a mandatory course, selling, marketing.
yeah,
Because we don't normalize, in many places, we don't normalize the culture of saying, how do you make money without necessarily having a formal job?
yeah,
So I grew up in that type of environment where my mom was a vendor. I didn't like the idea of vending.
yeah.
Then I realized it was a lack of maturity at that stage.
Mm.
Because now I've come to realize that everyone is a vendor.
And actually,
Everyone is a
every
vendor.
mother sounded like they were
Yeah.
a vendor.
So everyone is a vendor right now. The
Yeah.
difference is you're a vendor with driving a very expensive car. You're a vendor with defined building.
Yes.
You're a vendor maybe selling a different product. But
Yeah.
as you grow up, you go through university. Then again, that's one of the things that I noticed, that in university we never actually were taught money.
Yeah.
No, we're not. The conversation around money, if you study tax law, that's when you're studying various types of tax legislation, etc., etc. But the next interaction you find when you talk about money is trust accounting.
Yeah.
So accounting for legal practitioners, that's where you're being taught, but mainly to actually handle trust funds, which are other people's money,
Yeah.
and obviously your money. But it's one thing that I realized I had a conversation late on that.
Yeah.
Because now as you grow, you realize, okay, I'm in my first year of practice. I'm earning $300.
Yeah.
What do you do with it? You want to build a house. You want to drive a nice car.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Then you actually realize the majority of the work is, number one, of course, developing yourself as a professional, because when you develop your value as a professional, it also means that you can actually raise your earnings.
Yeah.
But number two is also to emphasize the entrepreneurship trajectory, that it's not enough just to say I want a degree, which is, I think, one of the biggest trappings in our country right now, because everyone just wants a job. It's okay. Not all of us can be entrepreneurs, by the way.
Yeah.
But the truth is, in the environment that we live in, and I think you emphasized the word correctly.
Yeah.
It's very informal,
Yeah.
highly informalized. Why? Because the formal setup has not been able to create jobs.
Yeah.
And that's a fact of life. So you see, many people are becoming entrepreneurs of necessity. Why? Because I need to make a living. That's why you find majority of the people are doing hustling. They're doing it to make a living. And that's why it's also very important to also be able to now think about, okay, do I just want to be doing this so that I can have a living, or I actually want to do this because I want to grow and develop something that has got systems. So one thing that I think is now very, very important when it comes to money, in terms of learning about money, is going to be the importance of the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
If you're not in an environment where money is being talked about,
Yeah.
money is going to be taboo. Secondly, if you're also in a church where money is not talked about, because many people think, hey, but you also need to be in a space where let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
But beyond just giving, let's talk about how do we generate money?
How to make it.
How do we make money? How do we grow money? And so you find now our generation, because we really didn't talk much about money, you find that there's very little financial literacy around. So one of the biggest achievements is Zimbabwe is that we have got a 90% literacy rate, according to some stats. So we can read and write.
Yeah.
But financial literacy is a whole new level altogether.
That's true.
So you find people with degrees, but they're not financially literate.
Yeah.
People with with amazing qualifications, be they scientists, doctors, lawyers, nurses, very good professionals, very literate, but financially they are not necessarily literate. I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to encourage people, being intentional, to say, I actually want to learn. Then who do you learn from?
Yeah.
So it's not enough just to hustle. You need to be very intentional about financial wellness.
And that's true, because I also think that we think about how to make money, but we don't usually think about how to manage the money, and how to interact, with money. Many times we are like, I want the money.
In fact, one of the biggest challenges in tragedy is money that comes to a place and the person with no idea as to what to do with it. So you see, money, what money does. I've always told people, no one was changed by money. They often say, no, the moment they started making money, he changed. That's not true.
No.
Money does not change you.
Yes.
It exposes who you are.
Because there are things that you would have wanted to do or to become,
but you couldn't do them because you had no money.
The time, the money.
That's why I always correct people. Akuna munhu anda wakadzi because I had money. That's not true. So the moment money comes, it unveils
who you are.
Similar with power. They say absolute power exposes corruption. That's not true. So absolute power does not corrupt. You were already corrupt. Power helps you bring out your corruption. So which is why I think it's very important for people to also be comfortable around money.
Being comfortable
around money.
I always tell my guys, I ask them a question and I say, if I'm going to give you, depending on their level, if I'm going to give you 5,000,
what do you do with it?
This morning, what do you do with it? Or how are you going to behave that day?
Some of them will actually end up dead. Why? Because you see, if a certain level has been introduced to you and you're not ready for it, that's a death trap. So if you get a vehicle that can do 260 kilometers an hour, can peak from 0 to 100 in under 2 seconds. That's a death tool. Until you have developed the requisite capacity to handle it. So that's okay. This thing can actually do what it promises it can do, but do I need to do it?
That's true.
So you find that I think the bulk of the work is to work on the psychological side of things.
That's true.
That the purpose of money is to enable you to trade, is to enable you to also experience your dreams, but most importantly is to enable you to actually make more money. So this is the reason why give someone $100, they can actually blow it. Give someone $100, they can actually invest in a small business.
That's true. So I always also give this example, because I think I grew up in a very not so comfortable environment as well. After O levels, having to go to South Africa, becoming a street kid
in South
Africa, handing over myself to the police, to be deported back home, and then have to figure out what I need to do until things started shaping up. And I always talk about how you need to develop a relationship with money.
That's true.
And when I ask these guys, I always tell them, and I say, the day that you get money that you have not possessed in your lifetime, put it there and just be able to spend at least 48 hours
looking at it.
Looking at it.
Don't remove a single dollar.
Don't remove a single dollar. Don't think about what you need to do, because like what you are saying, even if you are planning right now, you don't have money, we ask you what you want to do with it. You are sober. The time that money is going to come to you, the confusion and all the glossy and the good things, come through. So I have this concept that I developed, that I appreciate money. If I'm going to go to the ATM right now and I get money from the ATM, I look at my money and say, thank you.
So you see what you're talking about. Do you know many people's lives are miserable because of money? Not lack of it, money. So you give someone 5,000. Do you know the first thing that they will do? They want to upgrade their life. With 5,000. And the next thing, they elevate their status. They want to elevate their quality of lifestyle. with that money, and the next thing they elevate it to a level where they can't sustain it.
Yeah.
Which is why one of the things that I actually tell people is when you make $100, especially a solid note, don't use it for anything below $100. Mambo unotisera kuti ukabvisa $5 pa $100 yatopera.
Yatopera. That's the end of it.
Yeah, next thing wasanga munhu arikuzwa zino ndipo 20. Yeah. So what we need to encourage people now is what you're talking about, the relationship, but also be comfortable around money.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that for certain people it's actually easier to see that they have money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day that they have.
Yeah, they have it. You realize, no, this guy has got some money.
And I think that's how people steal from.
Yeah, it's very easy.
And I also think that's how Manjuzu identify people with money.
So you find now that people who actually thrive, these are people, number one, who are going to have a relationship. Yeah. These are people who are going to be comfortable around money. Yeah. But these are also people who also create an atmosphere where money is comfortable around them. Yeah. That's why you notice when money goes certain people, it stays. When money goes certain places, it runs away. Yeah. Because you don't have a relationship. You have no connection whatsoever. And when you don't have that connection, instead of money being a tool, it becomes a weapon against you.
And what do you think? I believe, that, generosity is also one of the things that that I personally believe, keeps money, attracted to you.
Yep.
And I believe that when money comes and it has a purpose, there's that attraction then that, that brings money. And when I was saying, I talk to my money, sometimes there's sounds crazy, but there are times that I actually ask my money, what do you want? Do you want me to give you? Do you want me to spend you? Do you want me to invest you? And I'm just thinking that, that relationship then, attracts, more money when you can be generous with money, when you can, know what to do with it. It always is a way of, coming through.
No, I believe in the power. I believe in the power of giving.
Yeah.
I believe in that. It's really good. I also believe that God gives us money to be stewards. Yeah. Stewardship is realizing that God's idea is not ownership. Yeah. It's for you to be a vessel who holds it on His behalf. That's very powerful. So stewardship is something that's very, very important. But most important, one of the things that I want to encourage is the power of planning for your money. Yeah. Many people, they don't want to hear that. But one of the funniest definitions I've ever heard about budgeting is telling your money where to go rather than wonder where it is gone. Wow. So where does your money go? So $20 in my hands is going to achieve more things. Yeah. Because I tell it where to go. Yeah. $100 in my hands is going to achieve more things because I tell it where to go.
I'm not figuring out.
Yeah. So majority of the times is their money telling them where to go. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's very, very important to, number one, actually have a budgeting. So, okay, all right, so I'm paying school fees for X number of students. Yeah. What's my budget for that? Okay, if I'm going to do it for the year, what am I going to do? Church projects, this is our budget, this is what I need to do. I think the moment we begin to do that, that element of financial discipline is very, very critical for our generation. I can tell you, I've seen some of the worst money examples in my life. Yeah. So being a lawyer, one of the things that you get exposed to is, unlike you guys who see social media, I see reality. Yeah. Yeah. So you see that. But me, I'm the one who goes to court, either to defend or sue someone. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I think our generation needs to really, really understand is we need to be proactive when it comes to monetary issues. Yeah. We have a generation of people that want good life, but they don't want to work.
Don't want to work.
They want soft life, but they don't want to do the hard things that leads to the soft life. Yeah. And I think that's one of the fundamental gaps that we have in our society right now. And I think the moment this particular generation begins to have what you're talking about, relationship, but most importantly, be comfortable. Usavunduka mari. Yeah. That's why it's yapira. Yeah. So ukasavunduka mari, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you find that we're losing a lot of our young people because of financial indiscipline. Mm-hmm. Many of them, they end up surrounding themselves with the wrong people. Yeah. Many of them, they end up buying things they don't need.
Yeah.
Many of them, they even end up in debt. You talked about giving someone 5,000. Do you know if you give someone 5,000, they may actually be in under obligation, which requires an additional 5,000.
Yeah.
Financial discipline. Yeah, so I think it's something that is very, very important.
They will actually become a burden to you even more. They will come needing another.
Yeah.
So I think one of the problems then for me is where we actually get the mentorship, about money, and where we get, the inspiration about money. I've attended, various meetings or conferences where then we have people that are talking about money. And these are people that are living flashy and lavish lives. But then you can't point, or them themselves, they cannot tell you, this is like step one.
So for
step two, step three. And I think that's the challenge. What do you think? Who exactly, should we look up to learn about finances, wealth?
Can I actually tell you something that I was reflecting earlier on? Start at your level.
Mm-hmm.
You should buy a level from $100.
Yeah.
So I got rid of 500.
Yeah.
Learn at that level. Because you see, many people want to move from 0 to 1,000, 0 to 1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give you a practical example. Many people, you don't have the capacity to have a conversation with Strive Masiwa.
Yeah.
You don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
Because the guy is a billionaire.
Yeah.
What conversation do you have? You don't have 20. No, it doesn't understand that at that level.
Yeah.
So it's very good to say, I need mentorship, but can I get someone who is doing more or less better than me?
Yeah.
Get to learn what they're doing at that stage. Then gradually progress and grow.
Yeah.
One of our biggest problems globally, in Africa especially, is social media.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people living fake lives on social media?
A lot of them.
They're posting things that they don't own.
Yeah.
Posting vehicles that they don't own.
Yeah.
Some are even driving just for a video.
Yeah.
Vehicles that they don't have. And majority of the people, they're even taking pics, videos in houses they don't even own.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to encourage people is be careful about what the things that you're consuming on social media.
Yeah.
Not everything that is posted is real.
It's real.
Not everything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with vehicle companies, you can actually do a test drive.
Yeah.
Then test drive, with a very good camera, you can do, guys, you need to focus.
Yeah.
You need to be serious. Yeah. My brother, I'll tell you one thing. Don't take every advice that you find online.
Yeah.
No, don't. I noticed someone, I was reading something, this guy says, no, I'm on $35 million. Then I realized this guy actually inherited. But at the time that he inherited the wealth, it was around 40 million.
Yeah.
Now it was at 35.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is a bad example. Because he can't even explain why the drop from 40 to
minus
35.
5 million.
Yeah, because now if you go on X, they'll tell you how to develop a 6-figure income. I started from scratch. Guys, what are you selling?
How to make 10,000?
Yeah, so what I encourage people is, it's okay to start small. It's okay to do profit at $10. It's okay to do $20 profit. Let's normalize the culture where we build starting small. That's one thing that we lack right now in our society. Because everyone wants to be living in Borodobrook.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be in Arlington. Everyone wants to be in the next gated community.
Yeah.
But are you ready for it? Can you afford it? No, you can't. So role models, pick someone whose story you can actually trace. Up. But also, I think one of the biggest problems that root quads, I know you're in the space, don't matter.
Yeah.
But I think the team where I receive root quads,
yeah,
that's not a good gospel.
Yeah.
No, you can't say receive your money from where?
From where?
Going to have a financial night breakthrough. People don't need a financial night breakthrough. What type of business are you doing?
Yeah.
So the first place people need to learn about money is church.
Yeah.
Church. So God blesses the works of your hands, not the works of your talk.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I come from, I learned entrepreneurship from the small things.
Mm.
I've seen people watch things on Zongo. I've seen people watch things at Chibake. That's good.
Yeah.
Because you need to build from the seemingly small things.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is not what you're selling, is the principle.
Mm.
Then from the principle, now we can say, how do we develop? I've seen on things that will go 20, but I've seen someone watching it that will go 20,000.
Yeah.
I've seen someone doing 200,000.
Yeah.
I've seen someone doing 300,000. But before you can move from 300 chickens to
Yeah.
300,000 chickens, there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of discipline.
Mm.
There's a lot of hard work. And there's a lot of process.
Yeah.
One thing about Instagram, it doesn't show us process.
Doesn't.
It simply shows us the final thing.
Mm.
Instagram simply shows you, I've been working. It's called a hustle. Guys, if you knew how many of those people are lying. So my advice is seek mentorship starting at your level.
At your level.
Then grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, now I'm doing 10,000. Maybe I want to do 30. Who can I look up to? All right, I want to do 50,000. Who is doing 50 currently? Who can I learn from? Or I'm already doing hundreds, 100,000. Now I want to do 300. I want to do 500,000. Who can I learn from? So you need mentorship at every level.
Yeah.
And the majority of the times, many people says, no, these people, they don't talk, they don't respond. It's because when you're at a high level.
Yeah.
Because certain levels, you can't go and say, I want to start from scratch.
That's true.
Certain levels, you now need to talk about scalability of what you're doing. How do you grow it? How do you develop? So every stage requires a certain level of mentorship. But most importantly, be mentored by people whose story you can trace.
Yeah.
Thirdly, learn values.
Yeah.
We live in a society without values.
That's true.
Marriage is the easiest to make.
Mm.
Right now, we're struggling with my drugs because someone is pushing them.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but this person is actually making money, by the way. But can we say this is money that represents the value with which we want to live? The answer is no.
Yeah, no.
So the focus should not be just making money at any cost. It's making money with values. Don't lose yourself just because you want to make $1. And I think that's the biggest tragedy in our society right now, because people are losing themselves trying to make money. It's not worth it. It's not. Yeah.
And that's true. And I like how you said, we don't realize that we need to make little money to make more money.
Yeah.
So we just want to hit the mark.
And that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. And that's the problem even with, people that, think they are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They don't realize that while you have a goal and a vision, you might need to take a job and, be on the job while you actually, are building what you are building.
Yeah.
What I want to be may not be, what I have to do right now. I have to
do something.
Take those baby steps and there's something that you mentioned about mentorship and, being mentored at your level.
Yeah, at your level.
I think we have this obsession of, wanting to, go along the big guys.
Yeah, in fact, that's we tell each other dream big, it's okay. But practically, I've had the grace to meet some very big people in society.
Yeah.
But guess what? Some of them, I've got their contacts, but I don't even use them.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Why? Because I want Kuti, the moment I want to sit down with them, I want to have the right conversation.
Yes, yeah.
But for the meantime, I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does that work? I need to go and sit down and think. If I spend 10 minutes, it's going to open my mind.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, majority of the times, you should pay $20. But I want to have $1 billion conversation.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not yet ready.
And as well, I think even not $1 billion conversations, they're actually people who are actually thinking, if I meet this guy, what I want is the money.
Yeah.
I have people, I also somehow, get, I think it's grace, like what you say, get to meet, a lot of people and actually sometimes wonder, would this person be interested in having a conversation with me? And I have people that I've offered to, give my skills,
Yep.
even for free. Because I realize if I'm going to make them pay me, they have actually developed this relationship with me that I'll pay you
That's it.
and you leave.
Yeah.
But I see what they're going to pay me for that service. For example, I've had to one of the days to I hire out my car sometimes. So this guy hired my car. Then when I realized it was this guy, I was like, I would drive it myself.
Yeah.
So I picked the guy from the airport myself. My guys were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, I know what I'm doing.
That's actually wisdom, eh?
So I get an opportunity to have a conversation with this guy in the car, drop him a few times, drive him,
Building a relationship.
around. Then I realized that after that, we needed to keep the relationship. So I offered a service. And until now, he's actually shocked that he had been paying people, but I'm doing, things for free. Why? Because I believe that in the future, that relationship is going to actually pay me more. I'm actually right now at a position that if I'm going to ask even for the money from him, I'm going to get more than what he could have paid me.
Absolutely.
And we don't actually realize that, the wealth of relationships, it can actually be more than the money that you can ask from an individual.
In fact, there's a concept I always push that social capital is more important than financial capital.
Yeah.
And when God opens doors for you to be in certain places with certain people, don't ask for money. Many people don't understand that. When you meet a person with greatness, don't ask for money, ask for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And when you're in that place, one of the biggest things you need to learn is to listen.
Yeah.
Because majority of the times, God gives you grace to be in a certain place. Instead of you learning, you're talking. So download as much as you can. But when God opens doors for greatness, you need wisdom to act on how to conduct yourself in the midst of greatness.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize majority of the things that will raise you from your current level to the next level is humility.
Yeah.
And our generation were a quick, fast-paced generation where if they see you, they say $sign. And that's why they miss it.
Yeah.
But people who are smart, I like the example you're giving about, is how can you also be of value, not necessarily in monetary terms, to someone? How can you actually aid the work that they're actually doing?
Yeah.
That's why it's also very important to have the attitude of service. It does change a lot of things. I've had the privilege of sharing stage with some very big people in society. But I'll be shocked the majority of the times where I'm actually speaking in those places, they ask me how much do you charge? I'm like, it's a church. I'm coming through. I'm coming to minister. I've actually met a lot of people just by ministering. And I think that's one thing that we need to help this particular generation, the culture of service.
Yeah.
Let's serve. You don't know what that is actually going to do. One lady was able to get a husband from feeding camels.
Well,
Camels. But when she's doing this, she didn't know that she's demonstrating a certain attribute that is required by a very powerful family.
Yeah.
So you don't know whose life you're serving. And generally, learn to respect people even if you don't know what they do in life.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest problems is, first you want to know who is it. Be nice to people, whether or not you know what they do. Just be nice, because one day you're going to come into contact with the right people as well.
That's true. So when we talk about mentorship, I believe and know you mentor a lot of people. What is it that you feel like you can be receptive to an individual when they reach out to you? What's the hack?
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. I've told people, majority of what people simply need from me is just sit down and have a conversation. I'm not going to be able to call you every day and say what you're doing. No, I can't. I'm busy. And also, when someone says, no, I want to be a doctor, I'm the wrong person for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that I actually encourage people, first, what's your game plan? What do you want to do? Then when you identify a mentor, you need to identify a mentor to speak to a particular area that you want to grow. Okay, I'm in the legal space. In the legal space, I've got my mentors. In that space, I've got people that I actually talk to if I need guidance. I make a phone call.
Yeah.
In the public space, I also have got people that I talk to.
Yeah.
In the writing space, for me to be able to do this, I sit down with the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they walked me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what people need to do is not to just reach out to any person randomly. Even I may be charismatic, but I might not necessarily be the right person for you.
Yeah.
So majority of the work that I've actually been asking people, when the questions that I ask when they reach out to me, "Hi sir, can you mentor me?" And I'm like, "What area do you need mentorship?" Then they say, "I want to be like you." No, you'll not necessarily be like me.
I'm
So
myself.
if you want to learn public speaking,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. One of the ways that I actually tell people, if you want to learn public speaking from me, come along when I'll be speaking. The immediate advantage is you don't pay. Because you're my +1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So majority of the things you will learn from sitting when you get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And just get to talk. Let's navigate. But most importantly, let's link you to the right person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one guy says, "No, I want to do robotics. I want my LinkedIn to
Yeah.
Prof Mtambara."
Yeah.
That's his area.
Mm.
So you know what I say? I say, I want you to say, "Hi, Prof. I got your number from Arthur."
Yes.
You know what the guy says? He got back to me and says, Mkuma, thank you. He replied.
Yeah.
So now I'm already assisting people by giving a sense of direction.
Yeah.
But you see, some people, they're actually clueless. They don't even know what they want. And at times it becomes very, very difficult to actually help them. So at least know what you want. Then identify the certain type of skills or guidance that you actually need. That way it does help, so that I also need to know, number one, how I can help you. Number two, how I can guide you to the right people. Because trust me, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So yeah, my role mainly is just to guide people in particular areas where they can actually develop, give guidance in terms of what they need to do. But most importantly is to actually direct them to the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, because I believe that, people are watching. You have different people that they would probably want to meet, get mentored by. But I think most of the time people get stuck around, how to communicate that. And you say, when you have an opportunity to communicate with that person, be specific in terms of what you want.
Be specific.
Make sure that they are also in the right, in the path that you also want to take. But even previously, you also said, listen, be humble.
Yeah, be humble.
And I see, with social media that you've been talking about, either social media or just that inability that people have to behave around greatness. People lose it. We have a lot of people that are on social media that they actually show that they are very successful.
Yep.
That even in a time where they meet people that are supposed to mentor them, the mentors feel like
there's no need, because they actually think you're already there.
They think you're already there.
So I think it's also getting to know what piece of communication are you relaying.
Yeah.
Because you're communicating this, but your life is this.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why many people cannot be helped. Because your thing's already okay.
And with the mushroom of awards in Harare, I interact with a lot of young people that are in this space. And sometimes you realize how, there's one time I won, several awards. And I think I related with the 3. I really related with the 2.
Yeah.
I think the 3rd one, myself, I was like, all right.
What have I done?
Okay. But I think I had not really sat down to think about it until then I was offered the 4th
award.
Then I was like, if I'm going to receive this award, I think I would do disservice to myself and to who I am and who I am actually trying to be, because I actually know a lot of people who are in the space who are actually deserving
but it's coming to you.
Of this award, but it's coming to me. And I think if I'm going to receive it, then people that I'm actually looking up to would think that I have achieved more. Because if I'm going to come to you and I say, I have an award of the best lawyer.
Yeah, what criteria was used? Yeah.
Then even if I'm a lawyer, you
Yeah.
were probably already saying, okay, so then
Yeah, but this lawyer about only 2 days in practice. Yeah.
you get it.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we need to be very careful about is number one, who is awarding you the award?
Yeah,
What's the reputation?
credibility.
Because, um, within a short space of time, I think almost everyone wants to do awards.
Yeah,
It's not bad to recognize hard work,
it's not.
but I think it's very bad just to monetize and use it as an opportunity to take money from people.
Yeah,
I've had the privilege of speaking to quite a number of awards. I know companies that are doing well, but I also know some that are just giving awards indiscriminately. That's not right.
yeah,
But also, I think it's good to really not be distracted by awards. Don't be. I heard of a company where they were given Best Company of the Year. 2 weeks later, they close. One Best CEO, next thing, that guy does not even have an office. So one of the things, number one, is for those guys who are already doing awards, take time, build your credibility, and ensure that you've already properly defined criteria so that people don't doubt what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
Then also, if you don't trust the credibility of whoever's giving you the award, turn it down.
Yeah.
Turn it down. I personally, I don't receive awards that much.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't. Of course, one day you wake up with that list, most influential, wara, and so forth. But I'm not a person who is actually driven by awards.
Yeah.
I want to keep my focus on what I want to do.
Yeah.
So that I don't have a sense that I've arrived.
Yeah.
But besides awards, one of the biggest scandals in Zimbabwe is our PhDs. Guys, can also now when I university when a PhD, what do we need titles, doctor?
Really?
That's scandalous, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's distinguish. University of Zimbabwe gives someone a PhD honorary.
Yeah.
Those guys have done their homework.
Yeah.
Majority of these universities, they would actually have done their homework. So you find quite a number of people who actually got your Dr. Mtukudzi. That's an honorary PhD from University of Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
That's deserved.
And you can trace.
But now you find someone, he simply registers a company and says, I'm giving PhDs. That's witchcraft.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. but also I think the message really is to those people who are receiving those things.
Receiving them.
You've done very well without a title.
Yeah.
So people have called me Dr. Athamara. I'm not Dr. Athamara. I'm just Athamara.
Yeah.
Does that take away value from me? The answer is no, it doesn't. I know who I am, and my value does not derive from a title.
Yeah.
My value derives from being good at what I do.
Yeah.
That's why if you read any of my books, I don't even use the word advocate. No, I don't. It's actually you guys who throw it. But I don't even. Why? Because my power comes from being Athamara. So number one, in terms of awards, take time, study the organization, study the reputation, study what they stand for, how credible are they.
Yeah.
Then learn to say no.
That's true.
Now, internationally, someone told me they went as far as Switzerland. I think they paid about $3,000 or so. Only to realize so you realize kuti no entrepreneurship dzanachitaurets. Munhu angowana gap rake. So someone has found a gap and they're now literally using it to make money. So yeah, so my PhD scandal.
There are we have a lot of them.
Doctor ninguskagononyora sinde dzechirungu nopengere.
And then there are these guys that are now doing investigations as well.
Yeah, so you find now, and this is one thing that I'll actually advise you. You're still young enough to read for a PhD.
Yeah.
You don't need an honorary PhD.
Yeah.
What have you done at your age to get a PhD?
That's true.
Auna O-level, A-level auna. Unonzi know you're hardworking. Or Dr. Ningi. I think it's actually an attack.
Obsession.
Yeah, it's an attack. Much. So the good part about getting PhDs that you earn is it also helps you build your credibility, build your profile.
Yeah.
Because at times when you sit down and you listen to someone who's a PhD, you also guys, I have a cool pitch in it.
People are trying to do with titles what they
it doesn't.
They cannot do with their minds.
So now, I think one thing that we need to encourage your youngsters: earn your degree, earn your qualification, formalize it. Yeah, you find them town them. My titles are so. Azokuti anyarara ndaita munhu mukuru.
Ndaita munhu mukuru.
Ndaita munhu mukuru.
You feel mature. Pane vanhu vane matitle.
I asked someone, what was your thesis on? I was what? Thesis. Your PhD yako yakarichia zato ndakangopuwa.
They don't even know.
They don't even know what a thesis is. Yeah, so yeah, let's just keep working.
There's a lot of important things that you are actually talking about, and I also feel that we actually have probably very brilliant people that are trying out things out there, but I think we really lack mentorship. What are the things that you think when someone says, I want to identify a mentor? I think we have stressed one point that is clear in now about find a person that you can trace.
Yeah,
their history. What are the other important things?
Values.
Values.
We're a generation which has tended to measure success by virtue of money.
Yeah.
Measure by values.
Yeah.
Values, the things that I'm not willing to do for money.
Yeah.
The things that I'm not willing to do, even money is going to be available.
Yeah.
Values, what you are not going to compromise. Majority of the people, they will not tell you that the money that they're showing you, they've done everything.
Yeah.
But is it worth it? No, it's not. So have someone with values. If you share my faith, I'll encourage you to have someone who fears God.
Yeah.
Not goes to church. Fear God. Because remember, there's a difference between fearing God and going to church.
Going to church.
Naturally, go to church without fearing God. But the importance of fearing God is it also helps put certain levels of boundaries in terms of what they're willing to do and what they're not doing. So I think it's very important to have people who fear God. Because the more you associate yourself with such people, even the things that you do, they also reflect and manifest that.
Yeah.
So values are very important. Number two, I think it's very important to have someone with experience.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems is we are a society where people with no experience, they will actually want to guide you. That's why I said one of the things that I constantly do is to turn down people.
Yeah.
That, okay, you want to be a lawyer. Okay, what are you doing? I'm in A-level. Right? Okay. The first thing that you need to do is please go and work hard, get me 15 points, then come back.
Yeah.
I'm being practical. Why? Because now I can't be giving you law books. Because at least I want you to read your qualifying books.
Yeah.
Then when you're ready, come. There's one lady that I'm mentoring currently. She comes, no, I want to study law, blah, blah, blah. Have you done your A's? I've done my A's. It's okay, come. We go to court together. I give you assignments.
Yeah.
I ask her to do research. Very brilliant.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm mentoring someone in my area of strength.
Yeah.
So I can teach you how to negotiate. I can teach you how to consult. I can teach you how to research. I can teach you how to argue. In fact, I actually take you some arguing matters.
Yeah.
So experience is very, very important. Okay. So you want someone to mentor in business. What line of business are they doing?
Yeah.
By the way, the word business is too general.
Yeah.
Are they doing petroleum? Are they doing food? Are they doing services? Are they doing products?
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing fuel. Are they doing retail? Or are they doing bulk?
Yeah.
If they're doing bulk, are they getting it from a third party?
Yeah.
Okay, they're not necessarily getting third party, they're actually getting from source. So you always need to go to those specifics. So that by the time that you want to say, this is the type of person that I want them to mentor me, even the level of conversation becomes very defined. That this is what I want exactly. Rather than just say, I want to change my life. Like, no, how do I even help you? Because, see, majority of the times, someone says, can you be my mentor? I've always asked, what's the picture of success in front of you?
What's your goal?
What's your goal? What does success look like for you?
Yeah.
Then, okay, if you want to be a very successful pharmacist, I'm not necessarily the best person for you.
Yeah.
Please listen to my content. I'll give you the things that you need to fire you up.
Yeah.
But for the technical side of things, you're better off with someone who is technical.
Yeah.
So mentorship is going to cover quite a number of things. And by the way, you don't necessarily need one mentor in your life.
Yeah.
Because no one knows everything. Sometimes you need a relationship mentor. Sometimes you need someone to mentor you health-wise.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need someone to mentor you financially.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need someone to mentor you mental health-wise.
That's true.
So you need that diverse skill. So values for me are very important. Experience for me is also very important. But you also need a mentor who is secure.
Yeah.
People who are secure, they are secure enough to empower you.
Yeah.
Because remember, people don't fight you when you meet their criteria of success. They have issues when you define and defy the criteria.
I get
So
it.
majority of the times, there's certain people who are in your circle. But the moment your ministry begin to grow, instead of you getting fans or friends, you start getting enemies.
That's true.
Because there's very few people who have got the capacity to handle where you're going.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's also very important to get someone who has got the capacity to handle where you're going.
Good.
The worst fights you ever experience in life are never going to come from enemies. They're going to come from people who are close to you.
Yeah.
Because majority of the times, the reason why some people are still smiling is because you may still be appearing like you're struggling. That's why they like you. But the moment you stop,
with your mediocrity.
Exactly. So your mediocrity serves other people better. But the moment you begin to confront it and challenge it, you begin to have a new breed of enemies.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have mentors who are actually secure and people who are genuinely invested in your growth.
Yeah.
So mentorship, you know what? We talk about mentorship just because I talk to him, he's my mentor. That's not actually mentorship, eh?
Yeah.
Mentorship is I need to spend time with you.
That's true.
Yeah, okay. So this week, where are you? No, I'm in shower and can we go together?
Yeah.
I'll drive.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing. That's mentorship now.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you speaking? I'm speaking in Laos. Are you flying? It's okay. I'll get my ticket.
Yeah.
Let's get to spend a bit of time and get to know what you're doing. Get to see me. Mentorship is going beyond teaching. It's about demonstrating.
That's true.
Where we say, okay, this is how things are actually done. So now the people that I mentor, I literally teach them how to write a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to write a letter. Because majority of my work revolves around letters.
Yeah.
But how do you write a letter? Okay, now we've got technology, we've got AI. How do you correctly use AI?
Yeah.
Because many people, they just copy paste. That's not how you do it. So now I usually sit down with my team. When you draft something, I've set a rule. I opened my firm this year, but I've set a simple rule. No one is going to sign a letter for the next 1 year.
Yeah.
I'll sign it. Draft it, send it to me.
Sign.
Go through it, send it back to you. Go through it, let's finalize it.
Yeah.
But why am I doing that? It's because I want to pass on skills. Yeah, so my young brother, I spent about 3 months going with him to court.
Okay.
Not arguing, observing.
Observing.
Next time we did this case, I was sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting. Then next time I said, dude, I think this type of cases you can actually do on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, I became very comfortable, very confident to actually send them.
Yeah.
But what am I doing? I'm actually doing mentorship.
Yeah.
So it's realizing that mentorship is not a microwave process. You also need someone with the patience to actually do that for you.
Go through.
Because we live in a time where people are busy.
Yeah.
And genuinely so, they're actually very busy.
Very much.
So it's really good to get someone to mentor you who can create and dedicate time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard to say that if you want to catch the attention of a great man,
Yeah.
be in places where he is excited to see you.
Yeah. That's so true. Be in the right places.
Yeah. So like what you're saying, if I don't have access to you, then probably I will have to be checking where are you?
And out is
And at some point,
true.
you're preaching now.
Go to church. And out is
I've had a lot of people who reach out to me and say, I want mentorship.
we out is.
We have church because that's
you know one of the things that I always tell people. Someone says, "No, can I come through to see you for mentorship?" No, I'm a lawyer. I bill by the hour. Between Monday to Friday. Azubudi. But look for me. What are you doing Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah.
Then I see if I've run an engagement somewhere, can we drive together?
Yes.
I've actually had many people who do that.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Oh, let's do lunch.
Let's do lunch.
When I want a problem, and let me help you. When I want to take out Mira, learn to pay.
Yeah.
All right, so I do lunch. You know what I'm saying? So if you've got someone you want to see, I book people in advance. Nkoma, can I buy lunch next time?
Yeah.
When are you available? In time beyond, I want to know 2 months. Then I check general remind. So if your mentor gets to save more time at church, and there you go. If there's a particular space that he spends time, go there. If there's a particular conference where he's going to be speaking or addressing, ask for permission. Can I come through?
Yeah.
Even in the audience, not even VIP.
Yeah.
Audience.
But
you see, majority of the people who are being mentored, they want VIP treatment.
Yeah.
No, you're not yet ready for that.
Yeah.
But that's the humility side of things, where you sit down.
Yeah.
But that's the humility side of things, where you sit down, you learn. Someone wanted to be on radio, and I'm like, okay, go up at radio. Then I know studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, started doing. One day, I'm going to radio.
Then we can have a minute after.
Yeah. It's fine.
Start from that
One day,
minute.
not 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I think the willingness and the humility is also very important on the part of the person being mentored. Yeah.
That's true. So I always say that we can never run out of conversations.
Of course.
But we always run out of time.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about this. But one parting shot, we always say, what are your parting shots, or what you want to say to people? But I think for me, we'll finish with, what's your regret about money?
My regret about money, number one, is not learning about it early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest regret. I have made it a point now to equip everyone who is around me first.
Yeah.
So the role that I've given everyone is, yes, you can go to FF in 8 to 5, but I want you to have a stream that has nothing to do with 8 to 5.
Yeah.
And the regret is not necessarily because of things that are within our control, but it's also because of the environment.
Yeah.
It's only after university that's when you begin to realize, okay, I actually need to learn to read books that have nothing to do with law.
Yeah.
And that's when I realize, okay, there's actually an entirely different world altogether. So that's me. But one of the things that I will tell you, I'm so grateful, God. I've got serious financial discipline.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people what I tell. Serious financial discipline. Why? Because I'm one person who doesn't want to be stressed about money. No, I don't. Yeah. I don't. I wake up every day. I live a very honest life.
Yeah.
I drive what I can afford.
Yeah.
I stay where I can afford. I eat where I can afford. I don't commit what I can't afford.
Yeah.
I don't also hang around people who put me pressure to do things that I can't afford. No, I don't. Yeah. So because of that, it has helped me to not have financial fights.
Yeah.
I don't. So the biggest lesson is, let's start teaching our kids at an early age about money. Let's empower our family members as well about money. Because if you don't empower them, they're going to be asking you for money. Yeah. Yeah, so those things. But I love the work you're doing. Keep it up. Keep pushing.
Thank you.
What we need as a nation are the right conversations.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our generation, youth, we're a microwave generation.
Yeah.
Now, Kazi Mkuru, not the small house, because of Osim. So it's really sad kuti unonzwa munhu nemanakiro nepotential yanayo atiwa pegged muka apartment just because they don't want to make their own money. Vanofunga kuti kune chimwe chinhu chedumbo chinofanira kumupa mari. I think that's one of the saddest things that you can ever see in a society.
Yeah.
I think you talk a lot about relationships. One of the things that I've been telling people, especially if you're a woman, the moment someone controls your money, you're not a free person.
Yeah.
No, you're not. That's why financial literacy conversations, let's expand them to the girl child.
Yeah.
Let's empower the girl child.
Yeah.
To realize that beauty alone is not enough. No, it's not. The only qualification under beauty.
Yeah.
That's a liability. And with more than just beauty. Combination of beauty, wisdom, That's an amazing combination.
And that's true. They are very beautiful people until you start a conversation with them.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, Mawan."
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thanks so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Advocate.
Thank you.
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
When you come back, what are we going to be talking about?
We'll talk about relationships this time. Yeah, that was on here as my relationships.
See, I was very clever to put him on the corner and make him complex.
Yeah.
So
I want to demystify them from, I think, a practical side. I actually like what you talk about.
Yeah,
we're going to demystify them.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Advocate. And
Thanks so much,
everyone, for listening to us and being part of this podcast. We are not just a podcast, we are a family. So I want you to, become part of this family through asking the right questions. So if you have something that you really want to know from Advocate, please comment, because he committed he's going to be back sometime and we'll talk about relationship. But I think we'll start with that segment where we'll answer, very important questions that you're going to ask. And like I said, we're not out of conversation, but we are really out of time. And thank you for joining in this episode. Remember to comment, remember to share with your loved ones and friends, but also remember to subscribe on our podcast. And thank you till next time.
Shine, your light has come. Today is your day to soar. Prepare your heart and raise your voice. What are you waiting for? The old has gone, the new has come. Yes, we are born anew. The love and wealth he had restored.